What's going on, everyone? I'm back with my third NFL mock draft of the offseason, and this version has plenty of changes, starting all the way at the top, includes numerous trades, so let's get right into it. With the first pick overall, the Cleveland Browns go quarterback, but it's not the name that many of us have been expecting. Instead, it's Josh Allen of Wyoming. And at this point, we all know that Cleveland needs to go quarterback with that first pick. The only question is Sam Darnold or Josh Allen. And for the sake of this mock version, I want to see what the fallout would be if the Browns indeed go with Allen at the top of the board. And me personally, I do like Sam Darnold more. I think he is more of a polished passer. I think his floor is much higher than that of Josh Allen. But as far as fits are concerned, you can't deny that Josh Allen does check off a lot of the boxes for Cleveland. He's a bigger frame guy. He's got a bigger arm that we've seen Dorsey endorse before. And on top of that, he'll be playing in the AFC North, so you want someone that'll be durable, that can make it through those weather conditions deeper into the year. So for that reason, I'm going with Josh Allen as the first pick overall to Cleveland. At number 2, the New York Giants select running back Saquan Barkley. And I still maintain that this is one of the hardest picks to predict in this draft, on top of it being one of the most important ones as well. As far as what I think can happen here, there's 3 possibilities: a trade down, the selection of the best defensive play overall in Bradley Chubb, or the selection of the best offensive player in Saquon Barkley. Now, all the recent chatter with the Giants has been surrounding Barkley. That's what's made me change my last selection from Bradley Chubb to Barkley now. As far as a fit goes, the Giants have needed a new running back in that system for a while. Jonathan Stewart was added, but he is not the long-term solution, and the Giants want to desperately get their own version of Ezekiel Elliott to counter what the Dallas Cowboys have. They can still get some more games out of Eli Manning. For that reason, they load up that offense with the selection of Saquon Barkley at number 2. At number 3, the New York Jets select quarterback Sam Darnold. And if things really do play out like this, then I think the Jets find themselves in somewhat of an unexpected situation, as they will have their choice in what many believe to be the top quarterback in this draft in Sam Darnold, and also the guy that people have been linking with the Jets for a while now in Baker Mayfield. And the reason I give Sam Darnold the edge here is because he's continued to do and say all the right things, and he seems to be the safer choice at this point. I really do think that the recent incident with Baker Mayfield and his workout with the Chargers and what he said in response to why he didn't bother memorizing the playbook, while maybe it does seem small when it's all said and done, I think that's going to rub some teams the wrong way, and I think the Jets would rather be a little bit safer when it comes to their franchise quarterback. That's why Sam Darnold is the guy at number 3. At number 4, the Cleveland Browns select defensive end Bradley Chubb. And I do think that the temptation to trade down here with a team like Buffalo and get an extra pick will be very large for the Browns, but ultimately with Bradley Chubb still on the board, it's something that they can't pass up. They go ahead, add Chubb to that defensive line, and by doing so, they add the best defensive player in this entire draft, one of the best edge rushers to come out in recent years, and they pair him up with Myles Garrett to ultimately give them a very scary duo on that defensive line. At number 5, the Buffalo Bills are on the clock as they select quarterback Baker Mayfield following a trade with the Broncos, and in this scenario, John Elway gets what he wished for by finding a partner to trade down with, get more picks, and in turn the Bills get their franchise quarterback in Baker Mayfield. Now, I currently have Mayfield ranked a little bit above Josh Rosen, and I think that a lot of other teams in this draft do as well. For that reason, the Bills are forced a little bit to trade up, give up some capital, but they can land their quarterback of the future. We know it's a need, and it's one that will be addressed in the top 5 most likely for the Bills. At number 6, the Indianapolis Colts select offensive guard Quenton Nelson. And even though the Colts will most likely miss out on their top choice in Bradley Chubb just narrowly, having Quenton Nelson as a consolation prize is nothing to be upset about. They desperately need to protect Andrew Luck as he comes back from injury, and Quenton Nelson is touted as one of the top offensive linemen to come out in years. Not only that, but he's also considered one of the safest picks in this entire draft. It's an area of need. Now, I do expect there to be phone calls here to see if the Colts will go ahead and trade down, and while it is a possibility, I think passing up on Quenton Nelson would be too much to ask for the Colts ultimately. At number 7, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select safety Derwin James. And this is a pick that makes sense. It's been a link that's existed between the Bucs and James for a while now. And having someone patrol the back end of your secondary will be greatly appreciated in Tampa Bay, considering the NFC South is loaded with talent at the quarterback position, and James is the top safety in this draft. At number 8, the Chicago Bears select linebacker Roquan Smith. And in the case that Quenton Nelson isn't available, I think defense will be the area of need that will be addressed for the Bears. They have needs in the secondary and on the linebacker level. I think if they stay here at number 8, most likely they will choose to upgrade linebacker. And Smith is a guy that's gotten more and more buzz as the draft nears. He's more polished than Tremaine Edmunds. Edmunds is still somewhat of a project. He's still very young. While he has a very high ceiling, he's very raw as well. Now, if the Bears do trade down, I wouldn't be surprised if they go and address the secondary, since they are a group of teams that need linebacker help in the next several picks. At number 9, the Miami Dolphins are on the clock as they trade up in order to select quarterback Josh Rosen. In this scenario, the Dolphins are somewhat forced to go ahead and land that last first-tier quarterback in Rosen that's still available, as they know that there's a bunch of quarterback-needy teams behind them. On top of that, they have been rumored to have been admirers of Josh Rosen recently, so in that scenario, as far as need is concerned and as far as fits are too, this is a pairing that makes sense. At number 10, the Raiders select safety cornerback Minkah Fitzpatrick. The Raiders have needs all over their defense. They could go linebacker here with a guy like Edmunds, but instead of going with someone that's a little too young and raw, they go with the established Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's very versatile, can play a couple different positions, and is also a very good value at number 10. At number 11, the San Francisco 49ers, after trading down, select linebacker Tremaine Edmunds. And if they can go ahead and pull this off, moving down a couple of spots and still getting a player in Edmunds that the 49ers would have likely been targeting at number 9, this would be a great move for them. They need help at the position with the troubles Reuben Foster has been going through, and none better than having Tremaine Edmunds. Even though he's a little bit raw, inserting him in that lineup, he can learn, and he has an extremely high ceiling. At number 12, the Denver Broncos are back on the clock after trading down and select cornerback Denzel Ward. And instead of using an early round pick on an unproven quarterback prospect, the Broncos get more draft capital and can start on revamping their secondary after the release of Aqib Talib. And no better way to do it than selecting the best cornerback prospect in this draft in Denzel Ward. At number 13, the Washington Redskins select defensive tackle Vita Vea. And the Redskins definitely need help all over their defense. So for that reason, they go best defensive player available in Vea. Now, they could also go secondary after they've traded away Fuller in the deal for Alex Smith. But ultimately, I think that the Redskins will go with the defensive tackle here. They struggled mightily against stopping the run last year. That's why Vea makes sense. At number 14, the LA Chargers are on the clock as they trade up to select defensive tackle Payne. And in fear of missing out on one of the top 2 defensive tackle prospects, the Chargers are forced to trade up and select Payne as a way to pair him up with Bosa and Ingram in order to boost that defense. At number 15, the Arizona Cardinals select offensive lineman Mike McGlintchey. And the Cardinals need a lot of help throughout their roster and could go in numerous different directions with this pick, from quarterback, receiver, offensive line, all the way to the secondary. Instead, though, they decide to upgrade that line with the best available lineman still available in McGlintchey and give needed protection to Sam Bradford. At number 16, the Baltimore Ravens select wide receiver Calvin Ridley. And this is a pairing that I've had for a while, and I continue to stand by it. The Ravens need to get younger and more competitive at the wide receiver position, and Ridley does exactly that. On top of that, he'll provide much needed help to that offense and to Joe Flacco. At number 17, the Green Bay Packers are back on the clock after trading down and select defensive end Marcus Davenport. Now, the Packers need a lot of help throughout their defense, but adding the second best pass rusher behind Bradley Chubb is definitely a step in the right direction. Going in the secondary is also a possibility, but passing up on Davenport at this point in time is just too much to ask for. That's why he goes to the Packers. At number 18, the Tennessee Titans are on the clock as they trade up in order to select defensive end Harold Landry. And yes, this is a pairing that has been popular for a while now, as it makes sense since the Titans need to upgrade the pass rush on the D-line and with the new defensive presence at the head coaching position. Now, the reason I do think there could be a trade here is because Landry has been rising up draft boards, and if the Titans want to get their guy, they might have to move up a couple spaces in order to do so. At number 19, the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock as they select wide receiver DJ Moore. And wide receiver was a position of need even before Dez Bryant got cut, and even more so now. That's why adding what many view as the best receiver in this draft class with Moore makes sense. If not wide receiver here, linebacker also makes sense with all the injuries Sean Lee has had. At number 20, the Detroit Lions select defensive tackle Maurice Hurst. And more than likely the Lions will look to add some help on the defensive line, whether it be a rusher or a defensive tackle. The reason Hurst makes sense here, again, he's a hometown kid, and some of the reports about his heart condition seem to be a little bit premature. He's been cleared, and if anyone would do their research on him, it is the Lions. That's why the next best defensive tackle is off the board. At number 21, the Cincinnati Bengals select offensive lineman James Daniels. And more than likely, this pick will come down to one of the linemen, as the Bengals will look to give Andy Dalton some more protection. We all saw what happened last year after a few of the key linemen were lost. All those problems trickled down to the quarterback play and affected the Bengals profoundly. At number 22, the Denver Broncos are back on the clock and select offensive guard Will Hernandez. After an early round trade, the Broncos acquired an extra pick in this version and addressed a second area of need on the offensive line. After acquiring Denzel Ward with their first pick and addressing the secondary, this time they can address the line and give more protection to Case Keenum. At number 23, the New England Patriots select linebacker Leighton Vander Esch. And after a little bit of a run on offensive linemen, the Patriots decide not to reach on another one, but instead address another area of need at the linebacker level with Vander Esch, who is a guy that is rising up boards and seems like he could be a great fit in the Bill Belichick system as another guy that could captain the defense for years to come. At number 24, the Carolina Panthers select quarterback Josh Jackson. And for a team that low-key has a lot of areas of need, the Panthers should be ecstatic that a player of Jackson's caliber is still available here, as it also fits an area of need, as that secondary has never quite been the same since the departure of Josh Norman. At number 25, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock as they trade up with Seattle in order to select linebacker Rashaan Evans. And in this trade, Seattle trades down for a second time in order to get more picks, while the Steelers move up a few spots in order to guarantee the next best linebacker that can help replace the injury of Ryan Shazier. At number 26, the Atlanta Falcons select defensive tackle Taven Bryan. And Bryan would be a great fit in this scheme, as he would immediately come in and replace the loss of Dontari Poe. He's younger, he's faster, he can get to the quarterback better, and he fits what Dan Quinn wants to do as a defensive-minded coach. At number 27, the New Orleans Saints select quarterback Lamar Jackson. And in the scenario that Jackson is still available here, I think he would be a great fit for the Saints, considering Drew Brees still has a few years left, and Jackson would be able to sit behind and learn from one of the game's best and become even more of a polished quarterback, allowing the Saints to transition to him without skipping a beat once Brees retires. On the other hand, if Jackson isn't available, I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints go with a tight end in order to make their already dangerous offense even more potent. At number 28, the Seattle Seahawks finally make a pick as they select center guard Isaiah Wynn. And in this scenario, I have the Seahawks trading down not once but twice in order to recoup some picks, considering that after their first round selection, they don't select again for a long while. And for a team that is on a little bit of a rebuild, they could use as many picks as they can get. As far as Wynn is concerned, the Seahawks have had issues on that offensive line, and Russell Wilson has been running for his life for a long time. Adding the versatile Wynn would be a great addition. At 29, the Jacksonville Jaguars select wide receiver Christian Kirk, and most likely this pick will be a pass catcher of some type, whether it be a wide receiver or tight end, as the Jaguars need to get more help around Blake Bortles after giving him an extension and losing some top talent like Allen Hurns and Allen Robinson. At number 30, the Minnesota Vikings select offensive tackle Kolton Miller. And if the Vikings stay put, the formula here should be a simple one, and that would be add more offensive linemen to keep Kirk Cousins in his fully guaranteed contract upright and healthy. At number 31, the New England Patriots continue to upgrade their defense and select cornerback Jair Alexander. And what better way to make New England fans forget about Malcolm Butler than getting a younger and cheaper version of him to patrol that secondary for years to come. At number 32, and with the last pick in the first round, the Philadelphia Eagles select center guard Billy Price. And with a team that has the luxury of waiting on whichever prospect they choose, that's exactly what they can do with Price here, as he will have time to come back from his injury that he sustained in the combine and then become a central part in that offensive line to help protect Foles and Carson Wentz. And with that, we come to an end of this mock draft. So let me know what you guys thought, especially of this version with Josh Allen going number 1 overall. Let me hear it in the comment section if you agreed or disagreed with some of these picks. And if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in future videos.